Hey, Joe Soto here, and now I want to talk to you about how you can get the client to overcome their own objection. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out on this. When you can ask very purposeful, very thought out questions that make them answer their own objection or share with you how to overcome it, what kind of position do you think that puts you in order to ultimately close a sale, provided it's in their best interest to do it? You see, all the different persuasion or influence tactics and strategies and techniques you could ever learn, to me, only really truly work when you use it in the best interest of the client and it creates a win-win. Otherwise, why do it? Don't even do it. Don't even use these strategies or techniques. But here's how you do it. Here's how you get the client to overcome their own objection. Grab a pen and paper. I'm going to give you the questions that I like to ask. And there's certain questions will be better for different objections, and there's different types of objections, but almost every objection someone gives you, there's one of these questions would fit. So if somebody says to me, Joe, you're too expensive. This fee seems very high. That's a common objection a lot of people run into. It's typically an objection you get if you yet don't believe entirely that your fee isn't too high. I've got a lot of ways I overcome that objection, like, because you're looking at this as an expense versus revenue generation, investment. But I'm not going to go there with this. This isn't a how to overcome objections lesson. This is a how would I get them to answer or overcome their own objection. So the way I would do it is I would say, they say, Joe, this seems a little expensive, seems a little pricey. Then I might say, well, what were you hoping for? And I just shut up. Well, what were you hoping for? Now you've put them on the spot to kind of give you a budget range that they were expecting or hoping for in the first place. So I'll just say, well, what were you hoping for? Now, whatever they tell you, it's probably going to be lower than what you offered. So let's say you were saying it was going to be $3,000 a month retainer, and they say, well, I thought it was going to be closer to $2,000. Then I would say, well, what type of value were you hoping or expecting you'd get for that? Now, no matter what they answer at that point, what you've done is you've presupposed that a lower fee means lower value, and that what you've proposed is the value that you have communicated and presented is, what's worth it. And doing that, it's interesting because it also insinuates and presupposes that if you're going to go lower, you might have to lower the value, and that's not something they're willing to concede to. I'll never let somebody say to me, well, I want to get the same value for a lower fee, and I would encourage you not to concede on price or fee and sell on fee that way. Always sell based on value. And the way to get your client's mind back onto value is by bringing value back up. So they say, you're too expensive. You say, what were you hoping for? They say, I was hoping for a little bit lower price. I'll say, well, what kind of value were you hoping to get out of this relationship going forward? And now you put them on the spot a little bit for that. And they'll tell you, they'll overcome their own objection with that. So it's interesting how you can turn things around. Another question you could say is, maybe they say, well, this seems like, it's a little bit more aggressive, or this, whatever their objection is. I think this is something we want to think it over, or I think this is something that, looks like it's going to take a lot of work on our end, and I'm not sure if we're willing to do that. Or whatever it is, you can say, well, what can we do to overcome that? And when you say, what can we do to overcome that, it's assuming joint accountability. Like we're both in this together. How are we going to overcome this? And sometimes I'll just say it like that. Well, we're in it together. How are we going to overcome this? And that what that's doing is that presupposing that you're going to make the relationship work. You're just not sure, and so you're asking them, how are we going to overcome this, or how are we going to make this work? You can also ask, well, what would satisfy you? Another question I have is I'll turn the what question to a how. So if somebody gives you an objection, I'll say, well, how are you hoping we would address this? So if somebody says, well, I was really thinking that you guys were going to maybe do this and this and this as well, I'll say, well, how are you hoping we would address that? And now what happens is they'll tell you the answer to how they would want you to address it. Now you have the answer to how to overcome the objection. You actually get the information from them and go, okay, well, we'll do that, or we'll do this, or we'll compromise and do a piece of that. Then is that enough for you to give this a green light? It's interesting when you ask people, like, what were you hoping for, or how were you hoping we would address this, or what can we do to overcome this? They'll tell you the information you need to then overcome the objection. So there you have it. I try to keep this under 5 minutes for how you can get your client to overcome their own objection with you. and this will help you close more sales as well. Let me know if it helps. Leave your feedback, your comments. I typically respond and read every single one as well. Thanks.